Say, Prince, you got a light?
What? Yes, of course. Allow me.
Club Martí matches. You spent a lot of time there, I take it.
Why, yes. It's one of Wanda's favorite nightclubs. The Latin tempo. Well, you know what it does to women. And I like to keep her happy.
See to it you do, pal. Wanda's a good kid, and I wouldn't want anyone to hurt her.
But of course, my intentions are only the most honorable.
Yeah, right.
Begging your pardon, Mr. Peters, but I understand you are an American detective. I couldn't let this opportunity slip away without asking you.
Sure, Jagdish. What can I do for you?
I have long admired the great American detectives, and I was wondering, do you know any of them personally?
I don't think I follow you, pal. What great detectives?
The ones I've read so much about. Reading of their exploits has kept me up many a late night. If I wasn't already devoted to the study of medicine, I think that is what I would like to be most of all. A great American detective. To feel the cold steel of a .38 in your palm, trailing a suspect through the damp San Francisco fog, building your case bit by bit, clue by clue.
Oh, hold on there. Slow down a second, Jagdish. Just who are you talking about?
The gumshoes, the private eyes, Sam Spade, Nero Wolfe, Harry Queen. What are they really like? You must know some of them, perhaps even worked with them on cases late at night.
Jagdish, I hate to break it to you, but those guys aren't real. They're just characters out of books.
What is that you say? Not real? But I've read the accounts of their cases.
Fiction, my friend. Just stories.
Perry Mason, too?
Mason, too. But I think he was just a lawyer anyway. I'm sorry to have to be the one to tell you, but it's really not like that at all. I don't even own a .38.
My goodness, I feel like such a fool. I hope you won't mention this to the others.
It'll be our secret, pal.
Oh, my. Mr. Peters, this is an amazing airplane, isn't it? Who would imagine? It even has a hothouse full of the most beautiful flowers. You know, it reminds me of the gardens of Dunland. We have a staff of gardeners that do nothing but care for dahlias, begonias, and wisteria. I think wisteria is my favorite flower. Don't you agree?
Well, the tobacco industry must be very profitable to allow you to hire a full-time gardening staff for your flowers.
It is much better than it was, I assure you. For years, foreign cigarettes were flooding the American market, but the government put a stop to that. So now we are doing quite well, thank you. Why, there you are, Mr. Leclerc. I do believe we have something in common. Do I understand you are a grape farmer?
A vintner, mademoiselle, a vintner. I own one of the largest vineyards in Bordeaux. My wines are featured at some of the finest restaurants around the world.
Why, that's just what I mean, sir. I own a large tobacco plantation in North Carolina. I dare say the dun leaf is used in the cigars preferred by gentlemen on 6 continents. Farming is the backbone of a country's economy, my daddy used to say, and I'm sure you'll agree. Managing a plantation the size of Dunland is a vocation not many men could handle, I assure you. But with all we must endure, it's either drought or flood, insects or disease. I'm sure your farm has many of the same problems, though, doesn't it, Mr. Leclerc?
Well, actually, mademoiselle, my vineyards have adopted the latest scientific advances that eliminate most of the problems you cited. For instance, until recently, a fungus called blue rust regularly decimated 10 to 20% of my vines. But by treating the vines in the spring with mercuric chloride, we have eliminated blue rust and substantially increased our yield.
How interesting, Mr. Leclerc. I shall have to talk to my brother Charles about adopting some more modern farming ways. He is so traditional, though. He thinks if it was good enough for Grandfather Dunn, it's good enough for him. But this is the modern age, after all, and we must march into the future or be left behind.
Lady Waddington, good to see you aboard. It's been since Wimbledon, I believe, or was it Ascot? You are looking magnifique as usual.
Oh, Francois! You are such a flatterer. What brings you to America this time of year?
My daughter, Bordeaux, of course. The 33 vintage is ready for shipment, and I was making some last-minute arrangements with clients in the States. And what a vintage it is! I believe this will be a historic year for Chateau Leclerc, Bordeaux. Will I have the honor of supplying the wine cellar at Waddington Manor?
Oh, you know better than to even suggest otherwise, Francois. I have given Chesterfield explicit instructions. Lay in a reserve of Chateau Leclerc. Oh, that is, if the five-star restaurants of the world can spare a bottle or two.
Merci beaucoup. For Lord and Lady Waddington, the world must stand in line for a drop of my nectar.
Ah, Peter-san, do you mind if I put some music on the Victrola? Bernard-san has a remarkable collection of phonograph records.
Go right ahead. And I might as well tell you, I'm not much for the long hair stuff.
I think you will agree that Laura is one of the 20th century's most talented composers.
I gotta say, Kudasai, you have pretty good taste in tunes. What gives?
It is simple, Peter-san. I am fortunate that my business allows me to sample the many cultures of the world and enjoy the best of each.
Just what line are you in, Kudasai? It obviously agrees with you.
I am a dealer in antiquities, art, jewelry, relics of past civilizations. I am also retained by museums around the world to authenticate their collections and ensure that new acquisitions are what they purport to be.
Sounds like a tough proposition. I've heard some art forgeries are nearly perfect.
I must admit, all my skill is not intuitive, Peter-san. Science has evolved to the point that chemical indicators, primarily mercury chloride, can detect modern materials used in forgeries.
Huh. What will the boys in the lab think of next? Is this stuff new or something?
Oh, no. To the contrary. Mercuric chloride is a most common compound used in many industrial and commercial processes. Did you know it is also used to separate copper from its impure ore?
So, Cabron, you seem to be the life of the party tonight. Any idea why Barnard invited you on this little excursion?
Quien sabe, senor. Perhaps it was to entertain the ladies. If so, I am much obliged to him for inviting such a lovely group of chicas.
I will agree with you on that point, Herr Cabron. Beautiful, yet mysterious as well. For instance, Madame Petrovka. Such a sultry way about her, but something tells me she is easily underestimated. Then there's that reporter Simmons. Too bad she has an axe to grind. Otherwise, she would be quite attractive.
Wanda Shepherd, now, there is what you Americans call a dish. And she knows how to have a good time.
Yes, but not a brain in her precious head.
Watch it, Schnorr. Wanda happens to be a friend of mine.
No offense intended, I assure you. That leaves Lady Waddington, a thorn among the roses, so to speak, Herr Cabron.
Perhaps, Senor Schnorrer, but what you don't know might surprise you. Excuse me.
Oh, Mr. Peters, I was just looking in the icebox here for something to eat. But I'm afraid I'm not sure just exactly what kind of food all this is. Do you have any idea, sir?
Well, let's see here. You got your beluga caviar,
What's that?
Russian fish eggs,
Ooh.
and then you got your pâté de foie gras, which is goose liver cracker spread.
Oh.
And there's a whole wheel of brie, which is a kind of soft, stinky cheese.
No!
And for the entree, calamari marinara, which is...
No, don't say it. I don't want to know. I've lost my appetite.
Monsieur Peters, a moment of your time, s'il vous plaît.
Well, what's up, Leclerc?
It is about the Simmons woman. She seems to be asking an awful lot of questions about that wealthy man who died a few weeks ago. She is making a lot of people uncomfortable with all her morbid talk about where an admittedly horrible death, but just the same. What is she up to?
Well, Vera Simmons is a reporter. Coincidentally, it seems that a few of the guests on board were, shall we say, acquainted with the deceased. She's just angling for a story. You don't have anything to hide, do you, Leclerc?
Oh, don't be absurd. I just don't think she should act like everybody is a suspect.
Well, I think what happened was sad. I think Jerry Weltner was my biggest fan, even though sometimes, well, most of the time he was a pest. I mean, he was always showing up at the wrong time, saying the oddest things. Well, when one time he said, as soon as the mongoose pays his dues, you and I'll run away to the Greek Isles. Have you ever been to the Greek Isles yet?
The mongoose. Did he say who the mongoose was?
No, not really. I figured they must be some kind of lodge brothers or something.